Welcome back, everyone. Today we're going to work a little bit on the Jeep and especially on the driver's side mirror. As you see, my mirror is held up with some duct tape, and that doesn't look very good. The glass itself is also damaged, kind of. It doesn't look good at all. So I'm going to put on a new one that I found on the junkyard, and I'm going to show you how you disconnect the old one and how you get it onto the Jeep. It's quite simple. You might need a tool like this to pull out the door panel. But besides this tool, which could also be done with a regular screwdriver, you don't really need any special tools. So let's go into it and get started. Since I have this window vent installed, I need to release this a little bit before I could take the mirror off, and I do that just by putting a screwdriver underneath so it goes up, and then I will put some new glue here. Next step now is to take a screwdriver and release the two screws that holds the door panel in place. It's one here and it's one behind this one, and there's a cover in front of this screw which you could just pull up with a screwdriver or something sharp. I found one more screw which is located in here behind the door handle. To release this, I'm using the cordless screwdriver, but any screwdriver will be just fine. If you haven't disconnected your battery yet, you should do this before you continue, because there is some electronic involved in this. You are basically disconnecting the wire to the mirror itself. And some people say that the Jeep VJ is quite sensitive for electronics. So just to be safe, disconnect your battery and nothing could happen. Now it's time to remove the door panel. And this is the situation where I like this tool. I just put it in between and work myself around to get the door panel off. The door panel should come off pretty easy, as you can see. But before you can take this off completely, you need to disconnect the door handle and the cable to the mirror. So let's start with the mirror and then we take the door handle. The connector is located behind this. Here's the connector to the mirror, which you could easily just slide up like this to get it loose, and then you could disconnect it. There is a knob that you have to push down on this connector. Push it down and it goes out. Now the electronic to the mirrors is out. The next stuff to take it out is the connector to the door handle. I just realized that there's actually no reason to take off the door panel any further, because everything you need to take the mirror off is located up here and the connector is already up. So next step is to remove this soft foam without breaking it, or at least try not to break it. So I'm trying to pull it up. Be patient when you're doing this and it will be fine. Could probably also use like a heat gun or something like that, but I don't seem to need that. And pull it out. And this is the thing that you want to reuse. So just put this where you find it. You have 3 screws holding the mirror in place. They are all 10 millimeter, and you just have to release them to get your mirror off. Hold the mirror and remove the last screw. And then I just let it rest here on the other side. So you need to push out this rubber here and just use any tool of your disposal to do this. Well, I'm replacing the mirror anyway. putting the new mirror on is just opposite of what you just did. I start with the rubber and get that in place. Then I just push it back through the holes, and I take one of the screws and put in the top, and that will be enough to hold it in place. Now you're finishing this up by reattaching all the 3 screws, connecting the wire, and put the door panel back on and try out the new mirror. You don't need to tighten these screws very hard, just hand tight is fine. Now take this piece of foam and pull it through the cable and put it back on. Connect the cable and put the cables back on the bracket. When you're putting it back on the bracket, there should be a small click. Put the cable where it's not in the way for anything. That's kind of all there is to it. Now we're just going to put the door panel back on, and I'm also going to show you on my replace mirror how you could do this in a much easier way if you only need to change the glass of your mirror. Don't forget to put the cover back on. And now your door is back on, and the door panel is back on, and you could reconnect the battery and try your mirror. The glass itself is quite dirty, so I'm going to clean it with some glass cleaner and microfiber cloth. I start by just spraying the glass. And I let this work for a little bit. When this has been working for a little bit, I take the microfiber cloth and just clean it. And now it's shining. So let's try it out and see if it works. There is some reservations with all this. For example, this mirror comes from a VJ that has a trim level lower than my vehicle. My vehicle is a limited, and this comes from a diesel engine that looks more like a Laredo version. And that means there's no heat in this, and it won't fold back automatically if I press the button to do that. But the adjustment works, and I don't have the gaff tape, so it still looks much better. So let's see if it works. Well, I could gladly announce that it works just as it's supposed to do. Though there is one thing that annoys me a little bit, and that is that I have a crack in the glass. And that's all my fault, because before I figured out how to do all this and how to change the mirror, I pulled off the glass, and then I had some issues to get the glass back on. I thought I could just like push it back on, but that's not really how you do it. And when I was pushing, I cracked the glass. Therefore, I'm going to show you as well how you could change only the glass if that is required. As you can see here, this is the mirror part and this is the glass. The glass has these brackets here that slides down into this one. This whole part, the ring in here, is possible to remove just by pulling it out. Of course it broke when demonstrating, but inside here is a coil that this ring should pop out from. But as you already see now, there is a risk of trying to pull this whole part off. But since I'm going to throw it, I don't care at this moment, and it will demonstrate my example as in a good way. So the mirror comes on like this, and then it slides up into place like this. That means that you could change your glass when it's on by taking a screwdriver from underneath and push it right up. Then it comes up from the bracket. Like that, and you could just pull it off. As you see, it could be a little bit tricky, but it's definitely doable. If you like this video, I would appreciate if you give it a thumbs up. And if you like what I'm doing here on the channel, I would appreciate your subscription by clicking here. And if you want to see more content related to Jeep, click here to see the full playlist on how to do stuff for Jeep. Thanks for watching, and I see you soon.